Hi, welcome to Jadekind Gaming. My name is Adam, and I have a large unboxing today. According to the shipping label, a 24-pound unboxing of Dwarvenite. I got the Dwarven Forge Dreadhollow Forest. It's a big one. It's an expensive one. It's a little over $1,000. But it should go great with the upcoming Wildlands Kickstarter stuff that'll be arriving eventually. First, I do want to take a look at the label. They actually ship it in the box it comes in. I got painted, of course, and it says what sets are in here. I'm going to open up the box. You know, so there's a few of them. There are multiple of the sets. A lot of them are singles. So we'll pull those out, but there are some duplicates, and I think some of these sets are also the same as you can just buy the sets separately, you know, as the individual bits and pieces. But I'm just going to start pulling stuff out of this larger box to give an idea. What's in here? There's a lot of sets. Oh, look at me one. So, I mean, it's expensive, but the box does have a lot of stuff in it. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, fair number of pieces. That'll be our first one. So I'll just do them by number. And it looks like our first one is the adventure pack. So starting off with some excitement. So yeah, we have the Dreadhollow Forest adventure pack. You can see it has some of the more exciting pieces, but in general, I am very much just looking forward to general stuff in this set. That's just bubble wrap. You're very welcome. Thank you for making an awesome product. Why don't we start with this one? This is a mini. Let's grab another mini for scale. So this mini could eat a normal mini. Hold on to it. Or crush it with a rock. Of course, this is all done in the updated paint. At one point, they had to change their paint scheme so that their factory could more accurately paint it how it's supposed to, consistently. So this is the updated. I got it after that, obviously. So this is a nature elemental. It's trees and stone and fungus. There's like a gemstone for an eye. It's got like leaves coming out like its tongue. And it is a giant force of nature. Sort of sits on 3 of its legs. It's like a tree trunk coming out of the back there. Some fungus on this side and the crystal on this side make for eyes. And it is a very cool, imposing beast to put your players up against. Now, we're starting with some exciting stuff. Oh man, this is heavy. And of course, these have magnets, so they'll stick to terrain trays. This is our broken bit of a world tree. So this piece should be 6 inches by 6 inches. Here. Again, mini for scale. Few spots to stand it, but not a lot of playable. Ooh, look at that little bug on there. In there. Little through holes on the root structure. But this is giant bit of a broken tree, and you have detail on the side of here. You're gonna see lots of those, but this is definitely a centerpiece kind of thing. Make it more so. There's this clear blue spirally vortex. Put this out here with some lights. It fits down in there so that from the side, light's coming out of it. This is the first of the pieces that I've gotten that comes with one of these remotes, and I am excited for it, because I have not gotten this yet. New to me. And you can turn it off with the remote, but it's still draining the battery. I know they've said that, but if you need to have a nice reveal moment. Okay, so it's set to fade. I can change the color, but then it keeps changing back. If I then press hit again, I know there is a way that I can get it to set. Okay, so if you set it to flash and it goes through the colors like that, and then set it to a color, it'll stay on a color. So I've figured out how that works. Okay. So you can now have it be that, and then if you want to change color, or dim it down or whatever. You can do all that stuff. Make it where, as you're playing through the game, you know, when they do stuff, it changes the light to tell them they're doing things good or bad. So, nifty interactive piece. This goes with this. So, if that tree is too big for your taste, there's another one. This one's just barely big enough for a person to go inside, so they're in a 5x5. This is probably 10x10 with roots stretching out beyond that. No magnets. Some little mushrooms on the side. It's a tree trunk, but it has this piece here, which I know here. No. Oh, I had it upside down, that's how. Well, fit on and make it enclosed. There's a little bitty hole. But, so whether that's just to make a different kind of tree trunk, or an effect where at a certain point the top of this blows open and reveals a hole, just different options for play. With this, another massive tree. So this is trunk of like redwood. And then in this box, we also have a couple of these. These are cute. Little fairy circles. The sort of incandescent looking paint on some of those. And those are, again, large enough. You can just fit a person within. So, you get a pair of those. So those could be objective markers or whatever you need. Our next box is the Bramble pack, which is exciting because I have the ones that were made with the flagstone that are curved. So here's one. So you get a couple just little bramble piles. One character for scale. So these are just brambles that go on the ground, make some rough terrain or whatever. Then we have 8 of these identical bramble walls. So, just like the curved ones, thorny, sharp bits. These ones have little rabbits in each one, which, oh please, Briar Fox, just don't throw me into that briar patch. Oh, Briar Rabbit in there, hiding out in the thorns as they do. But yeah, so you can line them up to make a wall, and then I have the other set that has curves in the door and all that. But this, been waiting on getting these to be able to really complete the set by having some straight rungs to make what could also be like thorn-covered walls or fences. Then we get the Cave Mouth Pack. And starting with all the excitement stuff. Just because I'm going in the number of the box order. But that's fine. It's all exciting for me because really some of the most exciting are just like going to be the empty walls. Because the empty walls are what's going to let me just sort of have space around houses and such. Okay, so let's see. These are the tree trunk stubs. So, for example, I have this. There are small and large tree trunks. Put them next to a creature. Kind of see the scale difference. The large ones are still not quite a 5-foot space there. So you just got this with a magnet space that is scatter, bit of rock, tree growing out of it. Spaces to stand, not really. And I can kind of tell there's a few spaces. Obviously, this is a space. This is a space. It's a little different here. But it's not full of like movable space. Then on this one, the larger tree trunk. Get a little frog. So this enters into a cave. The idea here is whatever you want. You can use this to cover it so that it becomes a cave mouth. So if you want to conceal that, and then it can lift up as they walk into it, and this can connect on the back to the passages from the cavern system, which I have. So obviously those are, well, for me, easy to see spaces. Though my players have even had trouble with some of those. So knowing I'm getting this, I got basically a measuring stick with distances measures. I'm like, if you have trouble, you can just count with that. But so spaces, this plant, this patch of mud, this rock, this normal spot, this patch of mud, these plants. So you can kind of tell. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. 1, 2, 3. So yeah, there are spaces in there. They're not the easiest to discern. My mindset is, as long as I'm not picky, then it should be fine. If something is wrong, then that's fine. Then there's a special tree. So you can take out this stump. This gnarled tree, some branches, and it can go on there instead. My comment is always, because the tree trunks are baked in here, you can always just remove the tree if it gets in the way. But, yeah, so a gnarled tree with some branches, you got a hole in it there. So yeah, that is a piece where you can enter from your wilderness into a cave. Now we have the escarpment pack, and the thing to note about this is it's one of the ones that there are 2 of. So there are 7 pieces in here, 132, 132. So there are 2 of this set. I'm going to set one aside, and in the Dreadhollow, you're getting double what I'm showing from this box. Because otherwise they're all the same pieces, so we'll just look at them at once. Oh man, they're so big and hefty. And also making me think, oh yeah, and I passed up on some of the stuff I could have gotten from the Wildlands Kickstarter. Okay, so we have some escarpments. Magnets on the bottom, hold them to a terrain tray. It's very important to me. I have a player who does not like terrain because it falls over too easy. So having the ability to say, no, we can keep it in place is very helpful for selling him on it. And of course, you have spaces. That one's obviously a rough terrain space. Up here, there's a spot to put the trunk from the other box. So there's a couple of these in here. So really I have 4, because this is already a foot across with just 2 of them. But because there's another box, there's another 2. They're going to be exactly the same. And there's detail back here. So if you want to use it where you have caverns or something go against the back of this, it can look like the inside sort of a cavern well enough. So I mean, you can use that as a wall as well if you're into an open cavern area. So then we get curve around between 2 of these with this piece, and it's got a spot. And precariously balance a mini. And these are basically 2 by 2 up top, and then the slant and base takes up the third of these in total 3 by 3 blocks here. Magnets. Yeah, so curve there, so obviously in the other box there'll be a second one of those. And then you'll also get one in this box and one in the other box of these, which this is the exact opposite curve. If I do it the right way. So that'll curve the other way. So most of this is that inner cave. Oh, lizard. There's some sort of tail or something there. But you just got a little bit of natural bit there. So. And yeah, the spaces are very hidden. I got a player that's going to be griping about that. And then we have 3 of the stilts. Stilts go 1 shy, so put something on it is level. That way you can have a floor go flush with this. So you got 3 stilts, obviously 3 more in the other box as well, for a total of 6 stilts. And you have the black metal, which I think means that this is the run where they're actually glued on properly. And it looks like next we go to 134 for forest scatter terrain. So many big boxes left. So this includes another, as a magnet, is a large tree stump. And these are scatters, so if you just want to put them in the middle of anything, if you're doing like a wargaming table and you want to just these, because obviously most of these boxes, if not all of these boxes, you can just buy the box. Obviously there's a bit of a baked-in discount for buying the whole kit, but most of them are sold individually, or if not, all the pieces have other ways to get them, basically. But you can just do like a scatter bit for trees, and this is the large one. So for example, we haven't gotten to our normal trees, but that gnarled tree can go on here and just be a scattered tree. Then we got this, again, magnet. This is basically 2" by 2", 10 by 10 foot space with a small tree. Again, just another little scatter tree to put around. Oh, we have another of the exact same. I just noticed here there's a little shiny bug or something in there. So this is the same as the cover for the cave. It's got that flat back, so it'll work with that tree. And then there's just rocky outcroppings. So a few scatter pieces for throwing trees wherever. And this box also includes, quite nicely, 2 small and 1 large tree stump, so that any of those can just be capped off. Because you can take off a tree or leave a stump to say, hey, tree keeps going up, but if you want to show like broken tree or whatever, deforestation, you can have a whole bunch of these. And also just have some of them mixed in there for showing the trees have fallen down that used to be there. We now move on to the heavy forest pack. So this is starting to get fun. This is ground cover. Got a couple pieces of ground cover, fancy ground cover. But so this is a big tree, 2 small trees, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Can't really stand on 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, you can see in between these roots, this here. Like, you can find them, but you gotta know what you're looking for. Oh, and also, there's a just always stumped tree right there. So, there's that. And here is another identical one. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, this one has a bunch of stone breaking up here, and 1 and 2. So there are 3 6x6 floor tiles in this set. Now we get set 136, which is the large tree pack, which I want to point out is another one that we get 2 of. So again, for this box, I'm opening it once. There are double of these. So I will keep repeating while opening it. Tape. Okay. Oh wow. So these are large trees. Okay, I guess first start with this. So obviously you get 2 trunks, and then a broken one. So obviously it would be 2 broken, 4 trunks. These are the ones that go in the large tree spot here. So these are the base for the tree to make it go up. Okay. And then 3 segments here. So I'm going to set some of these aside. So you got this large scale bit of trees. So, and obviously, and you can these are modular. You can assemble the small one below it or above it. I'm going to do going smaller as it goes up. Obviously, you can mix it up as you go. But so your tree goes into there. You take the next one. Again, there are branches which you can kind of see looking across, but I mean, like, you're not going to see a lot of those branches, but they're still painted and detailed in there. So that, and then there's a top one. You will see some of that branch. You get these segments of tree. And all kind of go in there, and that's for height of tree, like big tree. And there is enough in this box to do 2 of these trees plus the base, which means that between the 2 boxes you get 2 of those broken tree trunks and 4 of the large trees. So yeah, that's that's nifty. It's a lot of big tree, and there are small trees coming up later. My next pack is the light forest pack. This is actually one I've been thinking, do I want to get extras of? And I might, I don't know, at some point, we'll see. I'll probably wait and see when the Wildlands Kickstarter stuff comes out, because I might get some of that as variety options. But in here we have, okay, another one of these, exact same as in the heavy forest pack, that has 2 tree stumps. And another of the 2 tree stumps. So there were, in the heavy forest there was 1 of the 2 tree stumps and 2 with 3 tree stumps. This has 2 with 2 tree stumps and the big foresty bit here, or a rock bit. Foresty, it's all foresty bit. And then we get this. This is awesome. This is just blank ground. So 2, actually no, it's like 3 of these, which are 3x6s of just ground cover, and then 2 3x3s. So combine these all, and that's 1 foot by half a foot. These 2 covers another 1 foot by half a foot, so it's a 1 foot by 1 foot square covered area just with this pack, which is awesome. Also lots of blank ground, which particularly with some of these shapes you could obviously work to offset different shapes and put it in different areas so that you can just have ground you can move around, especially since you have all these that you can put on the flat ground. Now if you need to add a tree exactly where you need it. So you got lots of options with it, but yeah, just having some blank ground to keep things free is nice. And then a couple of these that have fewer tree stumps. And then we get 138, our small tree pack, and just like the large tree pack, there are 2. So double all of this as well. Okay. Ooh, that's weird numbers in that. Okay. It's fine. There we go. So we get 2 of these small broken tree stumps, which means 4 in total. We get 4 of these. Actually, that's even easier. I'm going to grab this. And I think those don't seem fine. It's like, okay, the big ones taper, so you can't really stack them one on top of each other to make extra height. The small ones do not taper. You can... you want to just have a really tall one, you could do that. You could make that work with these ones. So there are 4 of these. It's really one of them is enough to make it rise off the ground enough that you're not walking into it, which is really what you may want. Although you may very well, as they get to this tree stump or under this tree, you might remove it and just leave this here to show where it is. But so there's 4 in here, which means 8 total. Okay, so I got that. I'm trying to figure out what's what. Whereas in the large tree, it was very clear which was bigger than what. Okay, that's smaller. That's bigger. These two must be smaller? Yes, okay. So then we have 3, not 4, 3 of the large bottom sections of tree, which ultimately means 6 between the 2 boxes. We have 3, not 4, of the smaller middle sections, which means ultimately 6. And because there were 4, so 8 tree stumps, there are 4 tree tops. So, like, that don't have a hole in the top. So you can actually, in total, cap off 4. Because you can have one that's just medium and then a top. There we go. So you can just have medium and a top, or a large and a top. You don't have to have all 3 segments, but you can. And so first off, how I figured out which one of these was large and which one is small. So there's obviously 3 main tufts in both of them. But if you notice this one, it has an extra little tuft off the side here that's starting to grow. And there's nothing like that in the small. So that's how I differentiated between the 2. A little overpaint there, but that'll obviously be covered when in use. This little give between this tree, like this is not connected to this center trunk here. Is it much easier if you're pushing together on all of them. But yeah, so you can have a 3 tall there, which I think, where did I put it? Just to compare in height, if you line up the bottoms and have all 3 sections, the big tree is definitely much larger than the small tree, which is actually not something I knew, but does make sense. So, yeah. And then we got one final box, still pack. Which is just, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. More of the stilts, which are the exact same heights as the other ones, so enough that if you put them in here, you have room for 1 floor above to line up. Perfect. And so that's all the different pieces in this set. Like I said, the 3 duplicate boxes, still not even open, but I showed all the pieces and I was clear, I think, about what is in them. And man, is that a lot. It's already just been opened. So, I think it's, in total, assuming you use all the pieces, it is 24 inches by 18 inches is I think what it is. So, 2 feet. All right. 2 feet by 1.5 feet, basically. And that's assuming that you're using all of the escarpments, and you're using the world tree, and you're using the cave entrance, which all those may be a little fancy. But you still get like easily like a 1x2 or something like that without those, I think. Forget. But it's fun. It's pretty. It's gonna take me some time to learn how to really use it. Admittedly, just looking at it already, I'm starting already to pick up on seeing the spaces. I pick up on that pretty quick. But then again, I have players that have trouble picking up the spaces in the cavern rooms. So, we'll see how they do. But it's beautiful. And it's a lot. It's overwhelming, I guess is the best way to put it. But it'll be a lot of big, foresty. And I guess here's something to point out. I have this tree on this fan. If I want to take another one of these trees and put it on the stump next to it, I cannot. It will not fit. These trees do not all fit together with each other on there. That is not a thing. That's why there are so many of these ones. So on this one, if I want a big tree, then I'd have a tree stump here next to it. Because they do not fit to have an actual grown tree in every section. But then again, also with that, you just could not see below it at all if you did that anyways. It's a lot of very repetitive trees. Because like I said, there are technically 8 of the small ones. Although they'll be a little different in sizes, because there are 8 of the base sections, so you'll get a little bit different varieties, because there weren't all of the middle sections. And then there were 4 of the large trees that can all be identical if you just make them all based on the pieces you have. So there's a lot of very similar trees, but they do have the wildlands Kickstarter stuff that's coming out that adds a lot more variety. And I got some of that already coming here in the future, which I got planning for, hoping that I'd be able to get this beforehand. So yeah, if you have Dreadhollow Forest and you have build ideas, recommendations, just things to make sure that I notice, I've certainly watched the videos that Dwarven Forge has put out themselves, but if you just have any, make sure you notice this kind of things, feel free to let me know. And at some point, I may end up with a video with some ideas of my own as I've gotten used to it. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching.